That's me, Charlie Parker. An average guy with what I considered a much bigger than average problem. I wanted a new car. My old clunker was just that. But I couldn't decide. Ford or Plymouth. Plymouth or Ford. So I took my problem to the one person I was sure would have the answers. Bert Keeler was an old friend. Known him for years. And although Bert wasn't a new car salesman, I figured as a serviceman he'd worked with both cars and would have my answers.
Sure, Charlie, I know both cars. But first, let me ask you this. What exactly are you looking for in a car? What do you want?
Well, that stopped me for a while. I'd heard so many slogans, so many different stories. But finally, I know I want styling. Sure, a nice-looking car. Nice looks, but convenience, too. Bert had a Plymouth out in the shop, so we went back, and I compared the two, stem to stern. I found out that the Ford not only looked longer and lower, but actually was. From the front, I preferred the Ford. Mainly, I guess, because of Ford's full protecting bumper and clean, compact grille design, instead of Plymouth with one grille design at the top and another at the bottom. Say, Bert, what about those double headlights on the Plymouth? Can you see any better with them at night?
Well, not really, Charlie. If you look closely, you'll see those inboard lights house the parking light and turn indicator. They aren't really double headlights at all.
I asked Bert if having the turn indicator lights near the headlight didn't make it hard for oncoming drivers to see it at night. He didn't say anything, which I guess answered my question. As we went back along the side, I noticed the difference in the front vent windows. Bert mentioned that Ford's larger vents were designed to provide effective air circulation. He also showed me how Ford's thrust-forward windshield posts are not only modern, but give maximum vision at the lower corner of the windshield. I got a kick, too, out of the way Ford made their Fairlane and Fairlane 500 sedans look like hardtops by putting bright metal trim on the center posts. They don't even have a rear post. Hey, Bert, I hear Plymouth has more glass area than any car in its field. That right?
Well, that's what I understand. But, of course, most any car you buy these days gives you full vision. One comment I have heard, though, is that the slant of Plymouth's windshield can make sun glare and heat a problem in the summertime. And naturally, it would cost you more if you had to replace it.
At the rear end of the cars, Bert pointed out how Ford designed the tail lights, backup lights, and turn indicators right into a single compact unit, while Plymouth puts their tail lights and turn indicators up in the rear fin and the backup lights underneath. While we were back there, Bert opened up the rear deck lids to show me the room in Ford's trunk and Plymouth. Wonder if that spare tire and gas filler pipe wouldn't be in the way if you wanted to load up for a trip. Then we looked inside both cars. Those Ford color-keyed fabrics and that bright hardware looked awfully good to me. But I remembered something. Bert, what's this I hear about Plymouth having more room inside than Ford? Doesn't look like it, but what's the story?
Well, it's true. They beat us by this much on hip room. But seriously, the important thing isn't a fraction of an inch here or there with a car unloaded, but what we call effective roominess with passengers in the car. This means taking the dimensions with the car loaded. And frankly, Ford has more effective rear headroom and legroom when you figure it that way.
Seems like the only way to figure it. Let's take a look at the instrument panels, Bert.
Well, as you can see, all our controls are recessed for safety. Plymouths are not recessed.
Safety. That's what I want besides styling. Safety features. Now, that Ford deep dish steering wheel looks safer to me, too.
Yeah. And there's Ford's header-mounted rear-view mirror and double-grip door locks. You can get even more safety features in Ford. Optional padded sun visors, padded instrument panel, and safety belts. And talking about safety, better take a look at Plymouth's conventional rear-hinged hood. It could fly open accidentally, but that's not as apt to happen on a Ford, which is hinged at the front. Also, look at that reinforced hood. Gives you greater strength and less noise. And with an inside hood release, Ford gives you greater protection against someone stealing your engine accessories.
Oh, I see. Plymouth's release is still outside here at the grill opening.
Charlie, one thing I consider a really important safety factor is frame construction. Plymouth uses the standard straight rail frame. But with Ford's contoured frame, the passengers ride within the frame rails instead of over the rails, where only the thin body shell protects them. And, of course, brakes are something you'll want to compare for safety.
Now, wait a minute, Bert. What about these Plymouth Total Contact brakes?
Well, I understand Plymouth brakes have been improved, but they still don't have the stopping action of Ford's self-energizing brakes.
Now, don't go technical on me, Bert. What does self-energizing mean?
Well, besides having riveted linings for less squeal and noise than bonded linings like Plymouth's, Ford's self-energizing brakes take advantage of the laws of rotation, which let one brake shoe help the other in stopping the car. Plymouth's don't.
Okay, I'll buy that. But what about this Plymouth claim about their parking brake? Safer because of drive shaft parking or something.
Well, Charlie, Ford's parking brake is connected directly to the service brake, and this will give you more holding protection under all conditions. On Ford cars with automatic transmissions, there's a park position for extra holding protection. Plymouth automatic transmissions don't have this feature.
I'm glad you mentioned transmissions. Reminded me of what else I want in a car. Performance. I want a good engine, and I want a good automatic transmission. By the way, what is the story on Plymouth Torque Flight?
Well, Torque Flight transmission is probably pretty good. I know Ford-O-Matic is good. The big thing here is getting the transmission you want on the car you want, since Torque Flight is available on only 7 Plymouth models. Ford-O-Matic, of course, is available on all 20 Ford models.
And what about horsepower, Bert? That's important in performance.
Sure is, Chuck. And you can have your choice of 6 Ford engines. Plymouth offers 4. Here's your comparison. Starting with Ford's Mileage Maker 6 with 144 horsepower against Plymouth's PowerFlow 6 at 132. You can get Ford models with horsepower all the way up the line to 300. Plymouth stops at 290. Now, in compression ratio and maximum torque...
Hold on, Bert. I never have understood just what those terms mean as far as how they give me good performance. Or bad.
Well, basically, compression ratio is a measure of your engine's efficiency. So the higher the compression ratio, the more work you should be getting out of your fuel. And you want more torque for more power faster, more pickup. Ford leads Plymouth in maximum torque and in higher compression ratio.
Well, all that talk about power and pickup is fine. But I also want a good ride. That's important to me. Tell me, Bert, what's the real lowdown on Plymouth's new Torsion Air ride? Has it got something to do with air suspension?
No. Let me put it this way. Torsion means twisting. A flexible metal torsion bar twists when a wheel hits a bump. And this torsion bar suspension is supposed to take the place of the flexible action of coil springs. Incidentally, Ford's swept-back ball-joint front-end suspension is designed to pull front wheels over bumps, not push the wheels into them. One more thing you might want to consider about torsion bars, Charlie. They may need periodic service to correct front-end sag.
Yeah, but torsion bar suspension isn't the whole Plymouth ride story, is it? What's this about Oriflow shock absorbers?
Well, I know Plymouth alone has Oriflow shock absorbers. And I know only Chrysler Corporation builds Plymouths. Actually, both Ford and Plymouth shock absorbers are the same type.
Well, Bert and I talked about some other features of both cars, and I found out, among other things, that I could have my choice of 20 Ford models. Plymouth offers 19. And 2 different Ford body shells, instead of 1 in the Plymouth. To me, that only left one question. Price.
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at this, Charlie. In all comparable models, Ford's suggested list price is less than Plymouth's, from about $17 less in the custom 2-door to about $92 less in the 6-passenger station wagon.
Well, that was about it. I'd asked all the questions I could think of, and I got my answers. Answers to styling and convenience, safety, performance, a good ride, and price. Yes, sir, I got my answers, and I made my choice. And believe me, Charlie Parker, doesn't have a problem anymore.